Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Is this thing on? Oh, good.
I am so viscerally afraid of accidentally texting the chief of police. Kind of weird, that's all she wrote. You are in my thoughts and prayers in perpetuity. Now, mind you, I don't even have the chief of police's phone number, and why would I? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Monologuing. I'm Mads Mitch, and I'm your host today and always because, well, quite frankly, this is literally my podcast, so who else is going to host it? Happy freaking Monday. It is Monday, September 29th, I think. I hope you have a fabulous Monday, September 29th. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you're feeling well rested and rejuvenated and ready to tackle whatever life might throw at you this week. And I don't think that that's asking too much of your favorite podcast host. I am so excited for this week's episode. We're circling back on one of our favorite topics here at Monologuing. It's MLMs. We are an anti-MLM podcast. Now, to clarify, because MLM also does mean men loving men. And I'm not a homophobe, so that's not what this is. This is anti-multi-level marketing. I would like to make that distinction right at the top. But we've discussed MLMs so many times on this podcast, and it's because it's kind of like a hyperfixation interest of mine. I'm so fascinated in this world and its lore, and I decided to do an episode on this topic because I was sent this video last week, and the video actually wasn't about MLMs, but I'll explain. Essentially, it's this specific breed of video that I've seen a ton on TikTok and on Instagram, and basically it's where they take these clips of elderly people. Well, this is the ones that I've seen. They take these clips of elderly men and holding cats. The elderly men are holding cats. This is so important. And they put some text over the screen. Now, it's important to note that there's like background music, right? So you can't actually hear what's happening in the clips. It's just kind of like B-roll of all of these different elderly people with cats. And it's like, I am a 92-year-old man who just had heart surgery, and I single-handedly run a cat foster rescue league, and I need to sell these slippers to make money to support my cat foster rescue league. And I'm being weird right now in the way that I'm speaking intentionally, so as to properly emulate the vibe of these videos, right? And then it'll cut to, so then your heart is in it, and you're like, oh my god, this old man, he runs a cat foster rescue league, whatever the fuck, and you're like, your heart goes out to him, and you're like, this poor old man, like, he's just trying to do good. And then it cuts to the product that he's allegedly selling to raise money for this ambiguous thing, and the product is very clearly a wholesale product that is made in China. Like, there is nothing about it. And they tried to paint it as like, I hand make these beautiful slippers to sell to raise money for the cats, and I'm just an old man. And I see right through your bullshit. And then I also realized that in a lot of these videos, it's different men. It's not even the same elderly man. So which man is it? Which man is supposed to be the one that's running this cat rescue league? And so the point of these pages is that in their bio, they have a link to these whatever fucking products they're selling, right? And this is a very common theme that I've noticed on the internet, is they make these videos that are like clickbaity or that pull at your heartstrings, and then it links to some like random sketchy Amazon product. And the same is true of this video that was sent to me this past week. It was a video of a wedding, right? And it's, same kind of thing where like you can't actually hear and this is all, by the way, this is not the biggest crime that they're committing in this, but they are stealing people's content. This is not their original content. Like, they found videos of elderly men holding cats and stole it from those accounts, which is crazy. And they're pretending to be them, which is also crazy and illegal. And in this video that was sent to me, it was a couple at their wedding. They're like popping champagne, whatever. And it's like, it's so confusing. It's like, what is this video? And then there's text over the screen, and it's like, we had one rule at our wedding and this person broke it, so we kicked them out. So it's like clickbaity. You're like, what the fuck happened? And then in the comment section, it had this whole long paragraph about how, honestly, I'm going to try and find it. And this probably will be like a time consuming and tedious process that I will regret doing, because it is for ultimately like what is the stupidest thing that a person could possibly say. Hold on. I know I can find it. I have so much faith. I found it. Okay. She laughed at our wedding, so I took the mic. Our wedding day was everything we dreamed of. Wildflowers in our hair, barefoot on the grass, and tears in our eyes as we said I do. 2 women in love. 2 hearts that fought so hard to find peace. We weren't asking for approval. We just wanted to celebrate. But there's always one. This is crazy when you take into consideration that this isn't a real story. This isn't, so either they stole this real story from someone, which is awful, or they just like fabricated this very elaborate ruse for no good fucking, well, to sell some random Amazon shit. That's crazy. Okay, whatever. There's always one. Her name was Aunt Carol. She came because family should show up, but from the moment she arrived, her eyes rolled more than the buffet cart. She whispered during our vows, scoffed at our first kiss, laughed loudly when we danced to our favorite love song. I felt my stomach twist. My wife's hand trembled in mine, and I thought, no, not today. Not this time. So I walked up, took the mic, and said, some people showed up today pretending they support love, but only when it fits their idea of normal. This is like crazy. I'm sorry. It's so hard because the crux of what the moral of the story, I heavily agree with. Like, yeah, fucking ream out Aunt Carol. But then you remember Aunt Carol isn't real and this wedding didn't happen. Oh my God, it's so elaborate. We didn't fight through judgment, fear, and heartbreak just to be quiet now. This day isn't for tolerance, it's for joy. And no one gets to take that away from us. The crowd went silent, then came the applause. My wife cried, held me tighter, and we kissed again on our terms. Later, my head was buzzing, my body exhausted, but my heart was clear. Because when you stand in your truth, nothing shakes you. That's also why I started taking molecular hydrogen water. Oh, there it is. There it is. It helps me stay mentally sharp, emotionally centered, and resilient, especially when stress hits hard. If you're a bride, a woman, or just someone who refuses to shrink for anyone else, glow from within. Lead with clarity and never apologize for who you are. Buy molecular hydrogen water from the Amazon link in my bio. Follow for more of my stories. With the hashtag our wedding, our rules, hashtag LGBTQ love, hashtag bold brides, hashtag molecular hydrogen water. I'm sorry. Hashtag LGBTQ love, hashtag molecular hydrogen water in the same video is like objectively hilarious. So then you click on the account. The account is called biohack_health, which is what everyone's personal Instagram account is called. So like that totally tracks. That's a totally normal thing. And then what do we have in the bio? Well, first of all, the Instagram picture is like clearly a Pinterest photo of like a fake person. Obviously it's a real person, but it's like a fake Instagram model Pinterest picture of this woman like shopping at a grocery store. Number 1 tips to upgrade your life and health, boost energy, focus, and help recovery. Get yours from the Amazon link below. So it's these PHM hydrogen water tablets. I don't care to research that at all. My point is, when you click on this page, there are so many videos. I'm showing YouTube right now. So many reels. And all of them are like, my sister's one wish was to look normal during her wedding day. And it's this like woman going through chemo, so she has a shaved head. And this one, cruises are fun until you realize, and it's this like woman like in the ocean. Like, how are you? And the whole thing is that everything on cruises are actually disgusting, so you should buy molecular hydrogen water. Like, they just steal all of this content from other people. And they have like so many ones that are saying we gave our guests one simple rule and they broke it. So many different clips of that with so many different weddings. It's just actually so insane. It is so insane. And the reason that this made me think of MLMs is because, well, first of all, they really hit on that trope that MLMs typically derive from, which is we can relate literally anything back to our MLM, which is honestly, and it's similar also to like the LinkedIn sphere that we've dove deep into in the past, where it is like an impressive skill set to be able to take literally anything and relate it back to whatever product you're selling, but it's also like delusional and like kind of scary. So that is what made me think of an MLM, but also there is a, what's it called? Like Kangen or something like that. Kangen water. Yeah. Kangen water, which is an MLM. Kangen water, blah, blah, blah. It's like essentially these gigantic, like gargantuan water filters that they try to sell that, I don't know, oxygenate your water or something that like isn't really real. And that's an MLM. And that's like a big one that is such a hard sell because you're asking people to literally invest thousands of dollars into this like water filter that like literally no one needs and no one even knows what it does. It's insane. So that's why I originally thought it was an MLM, and then I realized it was actually just an Amazon affiliate link, which like what, how much, okay, I have so many thoughts. Anyways, more of that in Act 2. That's just like my roundabout of how I got here and why I decided to talk about this topic again today. But first and foremost, let's jump into Act 1, cheers and tears. Cheers. Okay. I got my first ever Louise Carmen journal and I am so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. I have wanted a Louise Carmen journal for so long. If you don't know what they are, look it up so you can get like a really good visual on it. Unless you're driving, don't look it up if you're driving. But they're these beautiful leather journals that are handcrafted in Paris. I am so obsessed with them. I've wanted one for a really long time, and I just like finally decided to bite the bullet because they are on the pricey end. And I finally bit the bullet and it arrived, and it's so beautiful. I'm so excited. And the cool thing about this journal is it can fit up to like 6 notebooks in it. So you can have like different notebooks for different things, which I think is really cool and kind of helps keep things more organized. So you can have like different facets for different things. I'm really excited to start using it and to start kind of like building it out because the Louise Carmen lore goes so deep. I've fallen down so many rabbit holes on Instagram and on TikTok of just like seeing people do like they call them like Louise Carmen tours, and they like show everything that's in their Louise Carmen journal, and I am like so obsessed with it. So I'm so excited to start working on mine. But that is definitely one of my cheers. Also one of my cheers, if you haven't noticed on YouTube, I am wearing blue light glasses. Last week I was having the worst migraines and I was doing absolutely anything I possibly could to get them to stop. And believe it or not, I do spend a lot of time looking at a screen all day long. And so I'm back in my blue light glasses era. I honestly do think it is helping a lot. The hard thing about it is I feel like I keep forgetting to put them on because I'm not typically a glasses wearer. So like this isn't something that comes naturally to me. So I keep trying to remember to put them on every time I'm looking at a screen, which is almost always. But I really do think that they're helping. I just got these ones on Amazon. I got a couple of different pairs because I wasn't sure which ones I was going to like. But I love them and I think that they actually do help. So this is your sign to remember to use your blue light glasses, because I'm sure. So I was like huge. And I think it was my senior year of college, was when I first got them, and I loved them, and I would wear them all the time when I was, in class or doing any type of work for school on my laptop. And then I just kind of forgot about them. So this is your sign to remember them and go find them, go dig them out, and remember to wear them, because we all are spending way too much time looking at screens. I also have been trying to be more cognizant and remember to turn on Apple phones, and I'm sure this is available on Android or any type of phone nowadays, but there's like night shift that you can turn on that makes it so it like cancels out some of the blue light on your phone. I've been trying to turn that on and have that on like all the time, because I think that is really helpful. It's just like, I'm sure it's not the root cause of my issues, but it can't hurt. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. My tears, that's a good one. I can't really think. Oh my God, I made ratatouille. That's not tears per se. It's not tears at all. I made ratatouille last Sunday. Such a good Sunday meal. I really there is something to be said about it. And like, I will never shut up about it. And I'm so sorry, but like, a cozy fall Sunday and cooking an elaborate meal, that is just everything to me and more. And I decided to make ratatouille because the last time I made ratatouille was in January, which is like kind of an awful time to make ratatouille because of the vegetables not being in season, because it really is summer vegetables. So really it's supposed to be a summer dish, but who wants to make ratatouille in the summer? Like, not really anyone, because it's hot and you're just like making a stew essentially. So I decided, I knew I wanted to make it before the vegetables got like really, really out of season. So I made that last Sunday and it was beautiful and delicious. I just love ratatouille. It's also like life hack because you feel very healthy eating ratatouille, because it's literally just vegetables and like a tomato sauce. But then I made 2 gigantic loaves of bread to accompany it. I made my my classic famous, world's famous, you could say, I guess, Dutch oven bread recipe for the first time in a few months. I haven't made it really since probably like the spring, if not like really truly last winter. And if you remember, like that recipe was my pride and joy. I crafted that recipe myself. I will say it was jarring making it again because I had to kind of like relearn certain things. That is one thing that I do hate about not ever following a recipe. This one I actually do have a recipe for, which is a rarity for me. And it was derives from a recipe that I found on the internet that I thought was so off. It was so off. And so I ended up making so many alterations to it. And then I just ended up writing that down. But at the time I was making that bread like almost every single week. So I didn't even really need the recipe, but I am so glad that I wrote it down, because revisiting a recipe that you used to make all the time is so hard, because you forget little details that like, oh, I would actually add more of this, or I would do less of this, whatever. It's like, it's so tricky. And it's even trickier when you don't have an actual recipe. Like there are certain meals that I feel like I would make a lot in the fall and in the winter. And then now that we're approaching those seasons again and I'm making some more of those meals, I know I'm like forgetting certain ingredients or certain ways that I would do certain things. And I hate that. I really, really do hate that, because it's also painful when you're in the moment and you're like, fuck, did I do this or did I do that? It's awful. But you know, it always ends up being fine. It's just kind of like, sometimes I'm like, oh, there's something missing, or like maybe I should have added more of this, and I hate that. But there's literally nothing I can do about it, because unfortunately I'm not changing my ways. Look at my jug of coffee. It's literally larger than my face. There's just so much ice in it because I'm such a slow drinker. Slow drinkers unite. So I guess that's not really tears. I don't know that I necessarily have tears this week. No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to make cinnamon rolls this coming weekend, because that feels apropos. It just feels like something I should be doing. And cinnamon rolls are something that I do strive to make, every fall. Those are like one of my favorite things to bake. You know, I'm not much of a baker. The 2 things that I really like to bake, I like to bake cookies, because I don't find those to be as like disgusting and annoying to deal with. I love my Dutch oven bread recipe because you don't have to knead it, and that's like a really, really great selling point for me in particular. But I do love to bake a cinnamon roll. I don't know what it is. I just think, well, I do know what it is. It's because whenever you get a cinnamon roll you really have to search high and low to find a good cinnamon roll in the wild. And so I think I just know that it tastes so good when you make it on your own. And so that's the driving force there. But they're kind of fun to make. If you've never made homemade cinnamon rolls, I would actually recommend it if you have like an entire morning to kill. They're fun to make. They're relatively easy, I think. Yeah, so I think that'll be my plan of like the next thing that I cook / bake. Okay, let's jump into Act 2. Let's get into, so the fun thing, I didn't even explain the premise. The fun thing about this episode is, in the past, I've talked about MLMs, and I've gone to like anti-MLM subreddits, and I found different stories and things like that. This time I asked you guys. I asked you if you had a good MLM story for me. I want to say one thing. I am so shocked by how many prison guards have been in MLMs before. And I don't say that in a bad way at all, because from what I've seen, all of you have gotten out of the MLMs, and God bless. I'm actually so happy about that. But I feel like it's always so jarring to see how many people have been like affected by MLMs, because I think that's like, it is so crazy to think about. And I also think a lot of people seemed to have fallen for this wretched scheme many, many moons ago. And I really empathize with that because that was before there was so much content and information readily available that showed that MLMs are a scam and like you are gonna get ripped off if you join. And that must have been really hard to navigate when like they were so new that people didn't know what they didn't know, right? And so there wasn't this information that is so easily accessible nowadays, because nowadays it's like if someone from one of these random companies recruits you, you Google it, one of the first things you're going to see is like anti-MLM and like all of these videos about people's horror stories joining this company. And obviously that wasn't the case 5, 10, 15 years ago as much so it's definitely for the best that there is so much more information nowadays, but it's crazy. It is so crazy. And I also, we continue to see very common themes that are not shocking. A lot of times there's a really heavy overlap between the Mormon community and MLMs, and largely in part because the Mormon doctrine really emphasizes women staying home and women, you know, just being mothers and wives and that being their priority. And a lot of the times they target not single mothers, stay-at-home moms, because they're moms that like might have a lot of extra time on their hands once their kids go to school, and they want to, you know, make a little extra cash, which I think is, I mean, they follow very cult-like tactics in terms of like targeting the vulnerable. I will never forget. I still watch this YouTuber, Kiki Chanel. She's amazing, but she used to do a lot more anti-MLM content, and she would get the links to these Zoom calls that these MLM reps would be on, and it would essentially be where their upline, which is like the person above you or the person above you, the person above them, right? They would be hosting these Zoom calls where everyone in their downlines, so it'd be like 30, 40, 50 people, however many, sometimes much more than that too, would be on this Zoom call, and they would be giving them, you know, tips and tricks and different hacks to try and get more sales and recruit more people. But one of them, I think it was for like either a supplement company or some sort of health and fitness company. And they were specifically telling their downline to go into Facebook groups that are designed to be a safe space and like a community for people with chronic illnesses. So that's fucked, because a lot of the times when these people that suffer from chronic illnesses, they might not be able to work a traditional job, so they're at home, they also want to make a little extra money. So it's just like a very sick and twisted way of like really targeting the vulnerable. And I feel like there's something to be said about like, yeah, obviously you have to reach out to who your target audience is, but when your target audience overlaps with like a vulnerable group of people, it's like maybe you should take a step back and think like, this actually isn't the best. Like actually what I'm doing is probably not the best. But a lot of people don't have that foresight or concern, or they're so bought into the delusion that like what they're doing is actually going to help these people, which is crazy because as we know, 99% of people in MLMs don't make a single bit of money. They don't make their investment back, I think is the statistic. 99% of people in MLMs don't make their investment back because there is always some sort of buy-in despite what they say, because they try to make it seem like, oh no, there's no cost. You just have to buy $300 worth of product to try out for yourself though. So it's things that you would be buying anyway because you buy shampoo and conditioner anyways. So it's not even really. And then yes, monthly going forward, you do have to have a certain number of product in your possession. So that's like roughly $500 a month, but like that's fine because it's stuff that you'll be buying anyways. Like they try to have all these little workarounds, but do not let them fool you. Anyways, so I asked you guys if you had any personal MLM stories to share, so I will be reading those today. I will of course be changing any names or anything like that because I just had you guys send these to me on Instagram through DM, so have no fear, your anonymity will be protected. Okay. Hi, Maddie. Sending you the MLM content you requested. Back in the height of COVID, summer of 2020, my older son learned about geocaching and said there was one at the park across the street from us. I think that's when like there's these, that's like Pokemon Go, right? or is it drastically not? Shoot. No, I think it is. It's when you like go to a certain location to get something. on your phone, and then you like you're able to unlock all these different things. Okay, whatever, you guys probably know better than I do. And said that there was one at the park across the street from us. I let him and his 8-year-old brother go over there to see what treasures it held. They came back and my older son told me that it had MLM makeup on it. I used to listen to an anti-MLM podcast with him in the car, so he recognized the name of it. I went over there with them, and sure enough, it had a bunch of unique makeup samples and the contact info for the woman who put it there. Goes to show that there is no safe space from the Huns. I posted this story on the Sounds Like an MLM But Okay Facebook page and got over 2,000 reactions and 587 comments. This ended up being the only time we delved into geocaching. I often walk through this park, and every time I pass the spot and I wonder if the makeup is still there 5 years later, but I haven't checked. Oh my God, you so should check. That's crazy. So I'm assuming that the person who set that up was geocaching herself, perhaps, and then she was like, oh, so a lot of people are going to come to this specific location. It is, I hate to say it, it's smart. It is a little bit smart. If you know that there's this like random spot that like a random group of people is going to be like a very small percentage of people, I don't know, maybe it isn't smart, because I do think it is, I would guess it's more geared towards younger kids, and so why would younger kids be interested in unique beauty? I really don't know. That's unique spelled Y-O-U, in case you're wondering. I will give her points for creativity, because that is that is, no pun intended, a unique place to market. But that's it also, I think, lends to the desperation that these people feel of like, oh, here's a good idea. I'll put it in the park and hopefully someone, I don't know. I just think there is an air of desperation around that, and I don't say that in a judgy way. I say that in a like, this woman is probably like, it's so hard when talking about people in MLMs, because, well, I think it's easy to talk about the people that are in MLMs today, because there is no reason today that you should not know how awful these organizations are, and they are awful. And the reason that you would still be in an MLM today is probably because you're at the top of one of the companies, which just means that you've been literally profiting off of other people's vulnerabilities and other people, like just scamming other people essentially. And that's icky. But it's hard talking about people in MLMs today, because it's like, they're like the scammer, but they're also the scammed, which is like such an interesting dichotomy, because they are the ones actively trying to go out and like get people's money and like get them to invest all of this time and energy into this company, but at the same time they are like part of a bigger system where they themselves were also roped into this. So it's like a very weird way to look at it, because I oftentimes look at it with like a lot of empathy, but at the same time I'm like, but a lot of the times these people are doing like bad things with this weird amount of power that they're wielding. Okay. There is this woman's only Facebook page with about 200,000 members, mostly from the specific area of my country. Okay. The admin was keeping everything civil for years. One of the page rules was no MLM promotions, explaining that it's borderline predatory to promote MLMs in a woman's page. To make sure she could control the post, she was allowing ads only on the weekends when any member could promote their business, handmade crafts, products, services, etc. And it was a great place to find women-owned businesses. Love that. This brings me to another point, and I will get to it momentarily. On any other day, there were countless posts looking for services like bridal makeup, babysitting, kids' lunch ideas, and local news. Recently, I went on the page just for some entertainment, the mommy posts and mild conspiracy theories offer. To my surprise, the page rules have changed. No promotions are allowed ever. No posts asking for any services are allowed, and the admin has been spamming the page with her own Herbalife posts with hundreds of before and after weight loss pics. That's not all I wrote, as I wanted to say I love the podcast and you are the best company. Oh my God, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Wait, so she changed the rules so that there's no promotions allowed ever and no posts asking about services, so that she herself can be the only person promoting Herbalife. That is crazy. And that is so sick and twisted. That is very interesting that she made the switch from being anti-MLM, it seems, to being part of an MLM, part of like one of the worst ones in my opinion. Herbalife and Monate are like two of the worst ones in my opinion. That is, yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like I'm not shocked by that at all. Because she probably saw it as like, this is her audience. That's like a very big thing with MLMs and when they recruit people, because a lot of the like common, concerns that people tend to have is like, oh, like this is a technically like a social media marketing business, and if you don't have a lot of social media followers, then a lot of people are like, how am I going to make money, right? If I don't have, you know, tens of thousands of followers, because a lot of the times the people that are recruiting them have been in the business for a long time and have amassed a pretty substantial following, especially for that industry. And it's like kind of like a common thing to be like, oh no, you don't need this many followers, and just, you know, use your network, like use what you have at your disposal. And so I can see that this person probably was in a position where she's like, okay, well, what I have at my disposal is these 200,000 women captive in this Facebook group, and I make the rules. It's a cutesy little power trip that she went on there. That's crazy. Okay, this reminded me what I was going to say, because as we all know, this is like a very common thing that I have complained about over the last, this will be my monologue for the episode. If I'm going to a craft fair and I'm seeing an MLM booth, I'm suing someone. I don't know who, but I'm going to be suing. I will be filing a suit. Okay. See you in court. I hate this. It's kind of an ongoing theme that goes into several different topics. I'll start with Etsy. I hate going on Etsy nowadays because I feel like nothing is actually a handmade craft product, which is what I love looking for on Etsy. The French version of Etsy. That's what I love looking for on Etsy, and I love finding all of these like unique, beautiful, handcrafted products that like I would always go on Etsy to find Christmas gifts and birthday gifts for people. Like it used to be such a treasure trove, and now it is just all of these like weird wholesale items that are clearly purchased and poorly made. You can tell that they're poorly made. It's just junk, and they're trying to pass it off as being handcrafted, and you can always tell that it's not, and it's because it's way too cheap. It's like, if you really hand carve this, it wouldn't be $19.99 plus shipping and handling. Like, that's not making sense to me, and I hate that, because it makes it so, and then those people are the ones that end up making a lot of money, and so then those are the people that end up being able to spend more money on advertising, so then those end up being the sponsored posts, and then it's like all you're seeing on Etsy, and I hate it. And I feel the same way when I go to craft fairs, because I love a craft fair. I love nothing more than supporting a small business, like truly to a detriment. I love supporting a small business. So I love a craft fair. And when I'm at a craft fair and I'm going around to these booths, you can always tell which person actually made the thing that they are selling. And I'll tell you how, not that you need it because you're very bright, but you can always tell because it's a similar style, right? So if a person is selling paintings that they made, all of the paintings are going to look relatively similar because they are the same person who painted every single one of them, right? Stylistically, they will look similar. And that's beautiful, and that's authentic, and that's what real art looks like. Like, I went to a craft fair this past weekend, 2 weekends ago, and there was a couple of booths. Don't even get me started on this craft fair. I wanted to scream at this craft fair. There was probably 2 booths, kid you not, maybe 3 out of the entire craft fair that were real, authentic, handmade crafts. And you could tell. There was this man that was selling pottery. You could tell that he had made everything that he was selling. And then there was also this woman who had she had like knit these little pumpkins. They were so cute. And she had like all these different colors of them, but they all looked the exact same, just different sizes, different color schemes, all the exact same. And that was all she was selling. And I was like, yes, of course. And this is something real that you really made. Every single other booth was people selling the most random shit. You can tell it's literal garbage. Like, it's so poorly produced. And they're trying the whole ruse of them even being a vendor at this craft fair is that they're trying to pitch it to you like this is a craft that they made, and I hate that. I don't know why that like evokes such a rage in me. I don't know if it's like the dishonesty of it. I don't know. I just really have a penchant for justice nowadays, and I think that that's part of it too. I hate it. And I think it's also seeing people, they're ripping off other people. They're inadvertently, I don't think they're trying to do this. I don't think they're quite frankly bright enough to process this, like truly, and I mean that, and like full offense, truly. I don't think that they understand what they're doing, but they're stealing people's artwork. They don't care. They're trying to pass it off as their own, and they're selling it skews very capitalistic in a way that like really grinds my gears, because if you're going to these craft fairs and you want to be purchasing like from small local vendors who are making these like beautiful things that they're pouring their heart and soul and so much time and effort into, it's like this is a treasure that you want to have forever, right? Like this is like a little knickknack to have around your house that like, yeah, you're not going to get rid of it because it's like a good quality handcrafted item, right? Whereas if you were just like shilling all of this random shit that's poorly made, that like it's just giving grifter. It's just giving like, I don't care. I just want to make a buck. And that sends me into a spiral. It sends me into a spiral. But then I also did see 3 separate booths for MLMs at this craft fair. What did I see? Now I can't remember. Young Living was definitely one of them. Oh, LuLaRoe. Who the fuck? I'm sorry, LuLaRoe had an entire documentary made about them. How the fuck are people still buying, selling LuLaRoe? I don't understand. That's crazy. Like, what year is it? Like, what is going on? And then there was a Young Living booth. Young Living is, of course, the essential oil company that, like, encourages you to, like, chug essential oils, which is not recommended by any doctor and or medical professional anywhere ever for what feels like obvious reasons. What was the other one? It might have been Monate. It might have been. I think it was some beauty one or something in that nature. I hated it. I hated it because there's all these unsuspecting people there that don't know what they're looking, but also on a more fundamental level, like what business do you have of a craft fair? This is not a craft. This is a scam. And like what you're selling is not a craft. I hate it, but it definitely goes back to their twisted, diluted ideology that like they are small business owners, so they think that they belong at this craft fair. You are not a small business owner. You are a shill. I can't say that enough. I really truly can't. Okay. Monologue over. I have such a tough time with this and I don't know why. Okay. I mean, I do know why. It's because people suck. People suck. Oh wait, I need to find this one. I think I cut off the top of this DM, but this is hilarious. This is actually like not MLM related, but I don't know what other episode it could possibly fit in. Okay. She said, disclaimer, I'm not 100% sure that this is an MLM, but it's different people promoting the same thing, so I think it is. I live in a small town near London, nowhere near any sort of safari or beach. I will never forget the first time I read that. I was like, yeah, that tracks to me that you're near London, so naturally you're not near a safari. Yeah, okay. And yet someone is promoting a vacation resort. The description clearly has an address in my town, but the photos include giraffes, not something you'd see in a commuter town in England, and beaches. People in the comments fall for it, even though they are members of the local Facebook group, so they must live in our town and know full well that there is no wildlife or beaches here. This sent me into a spiral. And so I replied and I said, why is this making me laugh so hard? And this lovely prison guard said, it takes me out every time. And then she said, here are the giraffes. I'll show you on YouTube and then I'll post it on the podcast Instagram. Can you see that? I'll post it on the podcast Instagram anyways, so you guys will all see it, don't worry. But it's a picture of someone literally on a safari with like dozens of giraffe surrounding the car, and they're like claiming that this is just a half hour from London. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That is so sad. I wonder if people are actually falling for it and like booking it and going there. But it's even more concerning that it seems like it's local citizens in your town that are falling for it. That is even more scary. I don't like that at all. Okay. All right. This person said, okay, I have a crazy one. My husband and I are currently going through infertility and will soon be starting IVF. I'm sending you all of the best vibes for that journey. I'm crossing all my fingers and toes for you. I got a DM from a girl I haven't spoken to in probably 7 years telling me that she read an article one time that said that there was birth control in the water. And that's probably what's causing my infertility. She then proceeded to try and sell me her company's water filter. She has since been blocked. I bet it was Kangen water. Not the point, but I bet it was. Yeah. So the thing about science is it's real and I believe in it. Can't get enough of this stuff. I just love science so much. There's no birth control in your water. I don't know who needs to hear this. There's no birth control in your water. God, that'd be great though, wouldn't it? It'd be nice and free and accessible. I'm kidding. So that is awful and sick and twisted. And this speaks to what I was saying a few minutes ago of them preying on people in vulnerable situations. You're going through infertility, you're starting IVF, you're in a vulnerable situation that you do not want to be in, right? And people in that situation, they're looking for a way out, they're looking for answers, they're looking for, right? Enter Kangen water filters. Like, it's so it grinds my gears so much because it's like, why are we preying on vulnerable people? I thought that was something we could all agree is kind of a bad thing to do. Generally speaking, not great. Like, it's not a good look for you. Okay. Moving on. Maddie, I have been waiting for this. I just looked back in my notes and found a note from December 2023 that crazy MLMs would be a great episode idea. And yes, I've gone back and listened to the old ones twice. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. Picture this. We're coming up on 10 years post-grad from high school. I live in one of the most expensive cities in the world. An average starter home is 1.1 million. My 9 to 5 isn't cutting it for my Kardashian lifestyle I thought I'd have, so I joined an MLM. Now, I won't name names unless you want me to. Saint, I will. We can name names. Saint, actually, fun fact, Saint is like a beauty MLM. I think their whole shtick was that they had these palettes of all of these different, like, kind of like the palettes you would buy as like a child that had all of these different kinds of like makeup in it, and you could put like lipstick on and you could put blush on and eyeshadow, but it was all in one of those, like, one succinct palette. That was Saint's model for a really long time. Was that it was marketed as like all in one and you could customize the colors and everything. Saint has actually shifted to not be an MLM anymore. So that is a good thing. And we applaud Saint for that. Now they operate on, I believe, just like an affiliate marketing structure. So people can still be promoting it and making money off of the commission links, which is like similar to what most traditional influencers do. So that's very much theoretically like above board and a very common structure that a lot of companies use nowadays that isn't profiting off of anyone below them. It's just profiting off of if they actually make a sale, which is much more integrity based, because it's like you have to do a good job at promoting the product in order for people to buy the product. And that's how it should work, right? It shouldn't be the people below you do a good job promoting the product so you make money. That's where it gets a little bit shady. Also, so sorry, I am nowhere in the middle of this, but I don't want to forget to say it. Scentsy, there's like some big MLM news because Scentsy, that was the other one that I saw at the craft fair. It's all coming back to me now. Scentsy is a huge MLM they sell like wax warmers, like those. It's essentially like a candle alternative where you take these like scented waxes and you put them in these little like pots, and then there's like a warmer that melts the wax so it smells like a candle and kind of has like ambiance but without a flame. And that was their whole selling point, was that there's no flame, so it's like safer to have around children because the kids can't get into it because there's no flame, so like it's safe. And also, if a kid were to accidentally get their hand in it or their finger in it, or if it were to spill on a child, the wax doesn't get hot enough that it would actually burn, which is, I understand, like a good selling point. You definitely don't need to purchase it from an MLM company. You could purchase it from literally anywhere else and it would probably be cheaper and or better. I've never tried the product, but I'm just guessing. But that was like their whole shtick, right? Was that it was like safer. That was what they had their affiliates market the product on, is this whole platform of it's safer, it's better for you, it's better for your home, it's better for your kids. They just announced that they are making candles. A Vec flame. A full flame candle. And when asked, hey man, what the fuck? They said like, well, candles are more popular. Yeah, anyone could have told you that getting into the scent and aroma market. Candles are probably the most popular scent and aroma product on the market. Anyone with literally one half of a brain could have told you that. Are you just figuring that out? I mean, I assume that this is just a last ditch effort by the company that is probably failing and suffering financially. And so they're thinking, let's just expand and start selling candles, which is good because only everyone sells candles. So it's not a very saturated market at all. But it also goes against like the core thing that they've marketed their products on for years. So they have all of these reps that have been talking about how Scentsy is so safe for families. And now they're going to be trying to sell candles, which is just completely counterintuitive and puts their reps in a really bad spot. And I do feel for their reps a little bit, sort of, because that's like kind of a shitty thing to do when you have all these like marketing and promotional materials around how safe this company is. And then we found out too that like they're not even soy candles, like so they're not even like good, or like I don't know if soy candles are less toxic or something. I don't care, to be so frank with you, but no, they're like the cheapest, shittiest candles on the market to boot, which is just like really, like if you were gonna do it, you should have tried to do like a non-toxic or something like that to stick within the realm of, but my guess is, again, they're probably borderline broke, so they probably can't afford products that are of higher quality. But that's just crazy. So I think we will watch Scentsy kind of circle the drain over the next few years. Okay, so we're getting back to our friend who is joining Saint. It was okay at the beginning, lots of Zoom calls, a little bit of extra cash. I'm talking maybe $70 a month. Okay, and like $70 a month, that is not nothing. That is absolutely a decent chunk of change to have every month that you wouldn't have had otherwise. The interesting thing about this, though, is how much time and energy and effort were you putting into making that $70 a month? That's also really relevant. Oh my God. Oh my God, my late stage dyslexia is kicking in. No. It's because if you were spending 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week, even every single week for the month, just to make $70, that's not feeling as good, right? That's where it starts to feel a little bit less of an accomplishment and of a good thing. I'm not saying to this person, I'm just saying if we look objectively at how many hours you're putting in versus what you're financially getting out of it, because it's like you could also just go get a part-time job somewhere where you are guaranteed to make a certain amount of money per hour. You get more money the more time you put into it, which is how a job should be structured, right? And that's just simply not the case in MLMs at all, because you could put so much time and energy and effort into it, and oftentimes you're still going to be yielding the exact same result, unfortunately, because it's structured against you. Okay. Anyways, I'm posting these makeup tutorials where I am legitimately covered in dots. Yes. Okay, this is ringing a bell, because Saint, their whole thing, like I said, is all of the makeup products are on one palette. So like face makeup, contour, blush, I think, does it have eyes and lips too? I don't know. But so their whole thing is that like they would take from the one palette and do their whole face with it. I have also heard iffy things about the quality of this makeup, but I've never tried it myself. Okay, I'm making carts for people based off of a photo that they sent me to guess their skin tone's best matches. It's a nightmare to think back on. Anyways, as time went on and the viral effects have worn off of the company, they decided to try something new. They created a color correcting system with 30 tints of color. I'm talking blue, pink, green, etc. They obviously didn't sell. So what did they do? Melt the makeup, put it into new tints, and sell it as blush, eyeshadow, you name it. When they tried to get us to lie to our clients, yet they would clutch their pearls when you called them an MLM, I knew I had to show myself out. That is actually so nuts. You're exposing an MLM right here, right now. This is kind of a monologuing exclusive, and I love that. Now, I'm going to double down here, not because one time isn't embarrassing enough, but because if you don't get enough write-ins and this one doesn't get recorded, I'll cry. My second time joining, No, girl, no. Okay. My second time joining was because I was almost pressured into it by the same people who got me the first time. Only this time around, the circumstances were different. I had just found out I needed to pay $36,000 to do IVF. No. If I wanted to have children, yeah. Preying on vulnerable people. Okay. Hearing a number like that, followed soon after by someone promising life-changing income, sounded like a no-brainer. Stupid, yes, but I was blindly hopeful. No, you weren't stupid. And to your point, you were blindly hopeful. You wanted, obviously anyone would want to be thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. It's going to be so easy. I'm going to make so much money. This is so great. I love everything about this. It's so easy to want to feel that way, right? Especially when you're in a situation where you're like, fuck, I need to make this much money. I need to have this much extra money to do IVF, whatever the case may be. I did make some quick money with this one. I believe when I quit, I had made $3,000. This was the Happy Juice company. Okay. But when I realized I was drinking something that was making people lose weight like Ozempic, but without it being around long enough to know these side effects, I quit. I do personally know one of the girls who's in the 0.1%, and she makes 6 figures monthly. I've seen the bank statements. It would be the dream to truly have financial freedom, cars bought for you by the company, and paychecks you don't feel the need to blur out. But unfortunately, that's just not the case for the 99.9% who join. It's a tale as old as time, but love you in the pod. And that's all she wrote. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate all of the content that you shared with us. Yes. Okay. I have a lot of things to say because, first of all, like, it's so gross that companies do what Saint did, where they're like, let's just repurpose this color correct, because color correcting serves a very different purpose than blush and eyeshadow. So I'm very intrigued as to how they were able to take one product and make it into another. And it sounds like they didn't really try. They just melted it down and like repurposed it, which is like not the best in my opinion. Monate had a scandal like that a couple years ago where they like changed some of their ingredients, but they were like not supposed to be talking about how the ingredients had changed. There was something, I'm obviously getting all of the details wrong, but there was something to that effect that was kind of like, oh, it was very kind of sketchy. But so then you joined the Happy Juice company. So it is so hard because there is obviously this element of part of you knows better, but part of you is feeling like, no, I just like, this is a thing that people do to make money. I'm going to try to do it too. And I totally relate to that and like empathize with that. I think the thing that's interesting, I mean, you said, be a dream. Let me see. What did you say? You said it would be a dream to truly have financial freedom, cars bought for you by the company, and paychecks that you don't feel the need to blur out. Okay. One thing to like really take into consideration here is a lot of it, even for the top of the company, is over exaggerated and over embellished. Like, we know this to be true. First of all, the car bought for you by the company, that's not really the case. There's been Hannah Alonso has done so many like deep dives into like what this actually means, but you are paying for the car like every month. You just get a stipend from the company. It's like this whole thing where it's not, you don't really like get a free car. There's so many logistics and like tax things that go into it that it is not the dream scenario that they paint out to you. And a lot of it too, like a lot of the trips that they get to go on are not great. Like, they're not great, and they're working the whole time at these like stupid conferences, and they don't actually get put up in these like nice luxury hotel rooms. They pay for those themselves. And I know a lot of people are like, so what? I still wouldn't turn down, a free vacation from my company. But it's just the fact of the matter is that they are lying to you 100% about what these trips look like, what their lifestyle looks like, because that's their job. Their job is to sell you their lifestyle. And so they do a really good job at it consequently, and a lot of it isn't real, even as much as they make it seem that way. And also, it can be taken away from them like that. Like, people who were reps at Saint, all of a sudden they woke up one day and Saint said, we're not doing the structure anymore. So if you were the people at the top of the company, great, you don't have a job anymore. And you have to make all of your money. If you want to stay with this company, you have to make all your money by actually selling the products, which, let's face it, that's not what they were making any money from prior to that. So it is something to kind of take with a grain of salt, because I know it's easy to fall into this trap of like, they are living the life, but they definitely are not. Like, they definitely are not. And also, the more anti-MLM content that comes out, the more people become aware of it. It's so much harder to recruit a downline. It's so much harder to keep a downline active and to keep them hardworking. Like, their whole job as the upline, as the person who gets to sit at the top, is essentially in jeopardy by everyone who's underneath them. So it's like, you need to keep those people motivated and happy and working, because otherwise you will not make money. And that is like also a very kind of stressful situation to be in, because the second those people start realizing, actually this is a scam and I'm not making any money, then they start dropping like flies. Then the person at the top is not sitting so cushy anymore. So it's just kind of it's a whole thing. Okay, I'm Mormon and kind of accidentally got into Mary Kay in college. See, I'm saying Mormon to MLM pipeline. I went to the first meeting with all the reps, and they were talking about how if you pray, God will put people in your path to help you reach your selling goals. I was out of there so fast. To teach their own MLMs, especially with church culture, gives me the ick. Yeah. I mean, that's not surprising. It's actually something I've seen a lot of in MLMs, is the interweaving of Jesus for some reason. I don't think Jesus would fuck with your LuLaRoe leggings. Like, I don't know who needs to hear it, but it is interesting and it's very much, faith-based manipulation, which is real and a real thing. And, it's overall just kind of icky. Okay. Girl, I think an MLM tried to recruit me through my university. I'm a first year, and people literally came into our lectures talking about a business opportunity where students have scaled their own businesses $100,000 per year, and that we could make $25,000 in one summer. I looked it up, and it's a pyramid scheme, and many students from my uni have fallen victim over the years. That is awful. That is really awful. I've heard unfortunately so many stories of people who have been roped into it by people that they really trust. Like, if you are a student at this college and your professor or whoever is like inviting these people in, there is an inherent degree of trust in that, because you're my college professor who should be looking out for my best interest. So why would you bring in someone who's trying to prey on the youth? So there is a certain element of trust. It's a really great situation for those people in the MLM to find themselves in, because they know how good it makes them look, because it gives you more faith in them by default, which is a risky situation for you, but a perfect situation for them. Okay, so my cousin was in a situationship with this girl back in March of 2020. Oh, the days of yore. He legit started dating his now wife like a week after this message was sent to me. And randomly I get this message on Facebook. Okay, so your cousin's in a situationship with this girl, and you get this Facebook message. She worked for Monet or Arbonne, and she was trying to get me to buy something. And she sent me a draft of what she was planning to send to me. She obviously meant to send this to her like upline member or something, and then tried to backtrack and be like, my bad, but girl, she used my name. Needless to say, I simply ignored. No response from me. Okay, so what she said was, I would like to say something like, I'll change the names here. I would like to say something like, hey, Susan, Danny was telling me about your makeup channel and hairstyling skills for weddings, and I thought you might be interested in learning more about the amazing anti-aging luxury products. And then she sent another message. OMG, my bad. I started typing to one of my friends about her boyfriend and didn't realize it was in this chat. Long week. What? What? That is like the worst cover up I've ever heard in my entire life. Also, the message in and of itself makes legitimately no sense. I thought you might be interested in learning more about the amazing anti-aging luxury products. What does that mean? It feels like you're missing the last part of that thought. Needless to say, I simply ignored. No response from me. Also, I was doing YouTube videos at the time in like 2016. I lasted like 4 videos before realizing that the gig was not for me. So that's what she was referencing when she said, okay, yeah. That's what she meant when she was telling me about your makeup channel and hairstyling skills. So that's insane. That is fully insane. I wouldn't be surprised if that was almost a tactic to like try and garner more of a response. But in this situation, she handled it so poorly. It couldn't have been like she used your name. Sorry, I was typing that out to one of my friends. Why? Why were you talking about me to one of your friends? Especially like given how you know this person, given that you know this person because they're kind of dating your cousin. Like that's so bizarre. That is objectively so bizarre. Okay, we have one more to end on. MLM story time. Back in high school, I worked for Cutco as a recruiter. Cutco is a very, very common one that I do think recruits a lot of young people in a way that is not good and not giving above board. I was 16 and it seemed like the only job willing to hire me. Of course they were willing to hire you. They'd be willing to hire an 11-year-old probably. That's my own opinion and complete speculation. I was 16 and it seems like the only job willing to hire me that worked with my student athlete schedule. The position was remote and paid $10 an hour. It spiraled out of control fast because I basically ended up getting everyone at my school hired. At one point, it felt like the whole student body was either trying to recruit or sell kitchenware. It got so bad that the school held a full-on assembly just to explain what an MLM was. Afterward, we were basically banned from talking about work at school. I love that you guys are like little boss babies. Like now we're banned from talking about work at school. That's hilarious. If it weren't an MLM, it'd be funny. Okay, the cherry on top, they straight up encouraged us to quit and even held a job fair the same week. Like, here's some safer options than hawking knives to your grandma. Meanwhile, recruiters like me were literally working during class, just DMing people nonstop and sending screen recordings of our convos to our leader for feedback. Looking back, it was absolutely unhinged, but at the time we thought we were hustling. I am dead. I'm dead. Okay, so she sent all of these screen recordings of her Instagram inbox of her sending so many messages to so many people, and she said we would have to send these screen recordings at the end of every hour to their like supervisor, which is crazy, to like prove that they've been doing it. That's nuts. This is interesting because you were getting paid $10 an hour, so it's not full-blown MLM. Like an MLM, you would not be getting any sort of stipend at all. It would solely be based on what you sell and what who you recruit and what they sell and what they're able to do. So that is kind of interesting because I know Cutco is an MLM, but it's interesting that you were also, at least you were being compensated for your work. Like that is a good thing. And that is not a common thing to see in these MLMs. And then she also included some screenshots of these things that she would post on her story. Like, my friend's job is hiring, work from home, must be 17 plus, virtual customer service and sales, text job to whatever for more info. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to get young people on it too. Like that's, because and that I feel like goes to show that like they are preying on people that like don't know what they're talking about, like to the point of your school having an assembly telling you guys what MLMs are, because they're like that you children definitely do not know what this is and like the full extent of it. So I appreciate at least that your school stepped in there a little bit and tried to do their part, but that is crazy. Oh my God. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you have a fabulous week and I will chat with you next Monday. Bye.